too.
Okay, well, I think I'll continue to monitor the waiting room as people come in, and I'll let them in. But because in the interest of time and wanting to allow everyone to go back to their Saturdays, we want to go ahead and get started. So we're currently recording. So we'll also be putting this recording on our YouTube page. So participants who couldn't join us today can revisit the conversation. So first of all, thank you everyone for being here. Primero, gracias a todos por estar aquí. Vamos a comenzar ahora y mientras se unen más personas voy a dejarles entrar al cuarto. We're going to go between English and Spanish since we have both speaking here, and I'll translate what Sean says. Vamos a ir entre el inglés y el español y voy a ayudar a traducir lo que dice nuestro invitado Sean Doherty. So, without further ado, we'll go ahead and get started. It is a pleasure to introduce Sean to all of you. I'm going to go ahead and mute everyone, but if you have a question, you can go ahead and click the microphone button to unmute yourself. And Sean, I think one of your screens froze, right? So
Yeah, I'm back. Sorry. Of course, the timing, it was working flawlessly until like the very moment we started, and then I dropped. So I'm back.
No worries. I was just introducing the context and muting everyone. So I haven't even gone into your introduction yet. So, and Abby just joined us as well. So welcome, Abby.
Hi.
We're just about to begin. So I'll be translating between English and Spanish since we have both speakers on the call. And we are fortunate to have our newest board member, Mr. Sean Doherty, here with us. So we're going to be doing these Zoom calls to introduce you all to our board members and community and to share information and have a question and answer where we will be able to tailor Eyeshine activities. And for this call specifically, Eyeshine's virtual classes to what you all want to experience. So thank you all for filling out the Google Forms we've sent out to gain insight into your priorities and what you want to learn online. Sean is an incredible human being, individual who came to Eyeshine shortly after we hosted our end of year event last year, our talent show. Sean was introduced from a member who was at the talent show, and since then spoke with my dad and I about Eyeshine, has an incredible life experience, is an expert in technology education and furthering that expertise, and is very generous in sharing that with all of us. So I will allow Sean to share a little bit more of that life story. Ma?
You're muted, Mom. You're muted.
Translate, please.
Sí, iba a hacerlo cuando
sorry.
So,
hello, everyone.
I'm going to translate now in Spanish. So vamos a empezar con nuestro invitado, que es un miembro de la directiva de Eyeshine, Sean Doherty, que fue introducido al final del año después de nuestro evento de talentos y nuestro auction. Sean tiene una experiencia de vida muy interesante que se trata mucho con la tecnología y la educación. Es un experto que continúa estudiando la tecnología y la educación, específicamente para personas con discapacidad de la vista. Entonces, Sean nos va a compartir su vida y su experiencia y también está compartiendo su expertise, lo que conoce de la tecnología y la educación para personas con dificultad de vista. So, without further ado, Sean Doherty, I'm so excited to introduce you to part of the Eyeshine community. Entonces, aquí les presento a Sean, a la comunidad de Eyeshine.
Awesome. Hola, everyone. Hello, my name is Sean. It's a pleasure to meet you all. Want to give a big thanks to Dudley and Natalie for meeting me and bringing me into the organization. It's a pleasure to be here, and I'm very excited. Just want to give a little bit more context and overview on my background and kind of some of my experiences. So I am a user of assistive technology. I have an eye condition called cone dystrophy, and so my eyes are very sensitive to light, and I deal with a lot of visual challenges there. I kind of have an impressionistic style of seeing, and because of that, I use a lot of assistive technology tools. I use screen readers and Zoom technology on my laptop and on my phone. So I am a user of those tools, and a little bit on my background. I'm from the Midwest. I grew up in Cincinnati, Ohio, and I did my undergraduate education at University of Michigan. Finished up there in 2012. And after college, I was able to join the founding team of a nonprofit organization. And that organization is called Education at Work. And there, I worked on the marketing and the business development side, really helping build out a solution that was helping college students reduce their student loan debt. So we were building out customer service call centers on college campuses, really employing college students for those opportunities and helping them pay down their loan debt. And so I was there for 5 years. It was a really great experience to kind of, work in a startup. But after that, I really wanted to continue my experience in education technology. And I ended up moving to the San Francisco Bay Area. And I joined the Google team working on the education side.
I'll pause you there, Sean, so that I can.
Sure. Yeah,
I
let me know.
Memory, but not as good as
okay.
all of that. So I'll pause you there and I'll translate that introduction and then leave everyone on the cliffhanger of Google education.
Sounds good. Yeah, thank you.
Lo que Sean estaba diciendo es un poco de su experiencia, su vida que nació con no sé cómo se llama en español. Mami, ¿sabes cómo se llama? Es como un imprevisto de la vista que es sensible o sensible a la luz. Entonces, mami, no te escuchamos.
Atrofia a la luz.
Atrofia la luz. Entonces, por eso tuvo un interés en estudiar en la Universidad de Michigan, donde se graduó la tecnología y también la educación, en el cual empezó a trabajar con una organización por 5 años en la tecnología asistiva, cual lo llevó a empezar a trabajar con Google para la educación y la tecnología. Entonces está ahora contándonos sobre su experiencia yendo de una organización sin lucro por 5 años y ahora a Google.
Perfect. Ready to continue? Okay. Awesome. Thank you. So so then I came to the education team at Google in early 2018. And I worked there for 2 years until early 2020. I was working on the partner marketing side, essentially engaging with developers that were building apps, mostly for K-12 education. And some of those apps consisted of assistive technology tools. So this was kind of an area where I started to get exposure to more assistive technology. I was familiar with the tools that I was using, both within the Chromebook and Google ecosystem, as well as within the Apple ecosystem on a MacBook and on an iPhone, a lot of the built-in assistive technologies there. And so I was there for 2 years and it was pretty awesome, but it made me realize that I feel like I can make a big impact in assistive technology and really wanted to kind of pivot in that direction. And so after that Google experience, I started doing consulting work, really focusing on education technology and assistive technology.
That's good, right till there. Go, Nat.
Yes, thank you. Entonces, cuando empezó con Google, la compañía en el 2018 empezó a trabajar en el departamento de mercadeo y negocios, consultando y construyendo aplicaciones de educación para estudiantes desde la primaria hasta el último año, y específicamente trabajaba en la tecnología asistiva para las personas que no podían ver, como en Chromebook, en Apple MacBook, los diferentes tipos de computadoras que existen. Y estuvo ahí por 2 años cuando se dio cuenta que tenía que hacer más trabajo para tener más impacto con la tecnología asistiva. Entonces empezó a ser un consultor, a hacer consultoría con otras organizaciones sobre esta tecnología asistiva.
Perfect. Thank you, Natalie. Yeah, and since then I've been continuing that consulting work, and I've also recently, just a few weeks ago, started my master's degree at California State University in Northridge, doing a master's in assistive technology and human services. So I'm really trying to deepen my experience and knowledge within the space, and I'm hoping to be able to assist individuals going forward with the right types of assistive technology tools. My program will cover really every type of disability and condition, really understanding the user as an individual, what they're dealing with their condition, and what are the right technologies to really assist them both in school and in their career going forward. And so, given my situation, having low vision and being a low vision user, I have a lot of experience in those kind of low vision tools, but I'm hoping to further my knowledge in other areas as well.
Thank you. Entonces, lo que estaba compartiendo es que continuó con su consultoría y su trabajo de consultor, y hace unas semanas él empezó un programa de masterado en la Universidad de Northridge, en California, de tecnología asistiva y servicios humanos, porque él está tratando de profundizar su experiencia y quiere poder ayudar a individuos con su experiencia y expertise de tecnología asistiva. Y su programa que va a estudiar va a tratar con todas las condiciones y emprendimientos para poder ajustar la tecnología a ellos, dado su situación, que tiene experiencia con la limitad de su vista. Va a poder ayudarse con esa experiencia para profundizar su emprendimiento.
And so now, working with Eyeshine, we're excited to put together some courses and trainings around assistive technology and different assistive technology tools. And so, I think looking at a lot of the tools that are used within education that many of our students are probably using, it'd be helpful to look at the assistive technologies built into those tools. And really help our population, better understand how to use those technologies effectively in class, as well as when you all go forward, when our students go forward to graduate. And so, I'm excited to speak with you all and understand if there's any specific apps or tools that you're eager to learn about, because we would like to better understand, what we should cover in these courses. So yeah.
Perfect, thank you.
Sure.
Ahora con Eyeshine, lo que estaba explicando Sean es que estamos muy emocionados de poder poner talleres alrededor y talleres para que ustedes puedan asistir alrededor de la tecnología asistiva y las herramientas que pueden ayudar con la educación por medio de estas tecnologías. Entonces, está muy interesado en saber cuáles son las aplicaciones que ustedes están usando actualmente para poder ver la tecnología que se usa para este tipo de herramientas, para que Sean nos pueda explicar cómo funciona esta tecnología durante nuestras clases de Zoom, que vamos a tener clases virtuales, y también que son herramientas que los participantes pueden utilizar por el resto de sus vidas, no solamente durante las clases. Entonces, él está muy interesado en aprender de ustedes. Si tienen preguntas sobre aplicaciones o herramientas específicas que están usando actualmente, que él puede ayudar a clarificar, y si hay interés en aprender cosas enteramente nuevas, que él nos puede enseñar también.
Awesome.
Thanks, Sean.
Yeah,
did we open it up for a Q&A, or did you want to contextualize a little bit more?
Yeah, it's fun to open up for Q&A. I guess what I would say is, I'm still learning along with everyone else. So I have expertise and experience, with a lot of tools, but there's still a lot that I don't know and a lot that I'm still learning. So if there are apps and tools that people are interested in that, I'm not familiar with, I'm more than happy to help, do the research, understand those tools, and incorporate those, into the sessions. So, this is still a bit of a learning experience for me as well, and excited to learn alongside you all, and looking forward to the Zoom courses.
Great.
Thank you.
There's Leo. Hey, Leo, how you doing, buddy? How's Leo doing, Sada? Leonardo's a magician.
Really?
Hola, ¿cómo estás,
Hola.
Sada? Yeah. Hola.
Hola, Leo.
Go ahead, Nat.
I'm going to finish translating, Dad, so we can close that part.
Yeah, go ahead.
lo que dijo Sean es que sigue aprendiendo al igual que todos nosotros y que tiene experiencia con muchas cosas, pero que él aún está aprendiendo, entonces está más de feliz de ayudar a hacer las investigaciones. Si hay un producto, una tecnología que ustedes quieren y él tal vez no sepa, puede ayudar a investigar más porque a él le gusta aprender también sobre estas herramientas que existen. So, I was done translating now, so we can move into the next part. What were you saying, Dad?
Yeah, I was just mentioning that Leonardo and his mom just joined. So
No,
Sean
they've
would know
been
who
on
they are.
here. They just added their video. They were off.
Oh,
So they've been on
okay,
there.
okay. Well, again, Abby lost her internet, so I told her that we would be sending a tape. So Nat, you're taping the meeting, right?
Yeah, we're going to put it on YouTube and we'll share the link with everyone who wasn't able to join.
Good, good. Well,
Erica had a question. I saw your hand raised. Was that a question, Erica? Or
I have a question for Sean.
Sure.
I'm 12 and I have to do distance learning. Would you recommend any tools for distance learning as visually impaired?
Sure. Yeah. What does your class use right now? Are you using Zoom for most of your classes, or?
Yes.
And what type of device are you using? A PC, a Chromebook, a MacBook, or?
A laptop. I use a laptop.
Okay. Is it Windows based, or?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, it is.
What are you using any screen reading technologies, or what are you currently using? I'm just kind of curious.
Google Read Write.
Oh, okay. Like text help reading, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's a good tool. I actually worked with that team while I was at Google, and I like their screen reader. I in my MacBook I use their kind of the built-in text-to-speech screen reader within the MacBook ecosystem, but I know a lot of PC users also use JAWS as well. I don't know if you're familiar with JAWS, but that's another very good screen reader that is kind of built for the PC ecosystem.
Thank you.
Sure.
I'll just go ahead and translate that question and answer. Jacob estaba preguntando a Sean si es que tenía algunas sugerencias de herramientas que puede usar para aprender sobre la distancia durante el colegio, porque está aprendiendo en Zoom, en un laptop, y que actualmente está usando Google Read Write, que es una herramienta de texto que lee el texto. Y Sean recomendó que también para los que usan PCs hay otra herramienta que se llama JAWS, como el tiburón. It's JAWS, right? Like JAWS.
Yeah. That's a very good screen reader for the PC ecosystem.
I would like to add that JAWS is very expensive and bloated. So I recommend NVDA because it's better, it's smaller, it's lighter weight, and it's free. So because JAWS can go die for all I care. So yeah.
That's a good insight.
It is NDDA?
NVDA, I think.
NVDA, non-visual desktop access.
Yeah, that's another good tool, and that's a good point, Jake. JAWS is very popular, but it can be very expensive, and I think that's another good option especially for a PC user. If you're using a Chromebook within the Chrome ecosystem, the Chrome operating system, there are a couple really good tools built in. There's ChromeVox, which is kind of the full screen reader technology. And then there's also Select to Speak, which is what I use when I use a screen reader. It's built more for a low vision user. But those are both pretty good tools as well.
Thank you. So Jake y Sean estaban hablando sobre otras herramientas que también son buenas y hay una, porque JAWS es un poco cara, hay una que es gratis que se llama NVDA, Non-Visual Desktop Assistance, que ayuda también para leer el texto y que dentro de Chrome, si usan el Chrome de Google, el sistema operativo, que tienen herramientas dentro del sistema en Chrome Fox que pueden utilizar una herramienta que se llama seleccionar para hablar, select to speak.
Yes.
Es lo que usa Sean para poder escuchar lo que está escrito.
And this is a topic that we could cover, within a Zoom course. We could look specifically at different types of screen reading technologies and kind of the best ones across each operating system. So we could look at kind of the PC Windows ecosystem. We could look at the Mac OS and iOS ecosystem, as well as the Chrome and Chromebook ecosystem. So that could be a very good course to cover. Kind of understanding what our student population is currently using and what are the best tools and additional recommendations.
Yeah, that's a great point. Would people be interested in that? Voy a traducir and then I'll ask it again. So, Sean estaba diciendo que podemos hacer una clase específica en Zoom sobre ese tema específico que son los sistemas operativos como PC, Windows, el ecosistema y Mac o iOS, dependiendo de lo que usan los participantes, podemos tener una clase de Zoom para revisar todas las herramientas que existen dentro de cada sistema operativo. Y yo pregunté si estaban interesados. So if those are people are interested, you can raise your hand or you can unmute as well. Que si están interesados pueden unmute o pueden levantar la mano en tener una clase Zoom así. I saw some of the Google Forms. People had highlighted technology as a priority or as an interest. So,
Natalie,
sí, Luis.
acerca de lo que acaba de mencionar de estos puntos que podemos tener una reunión en Zoom. La mayoría de nosotros que estamos aquí en Santa Bárbara necesitamos, por ejemplo, una clase de voiceover. Empezando por principiantes, hay quienes están un poco más avanzados. Pero ¿por qué no empezamos, si se pudiera, tomar una clase para principiantes con el voiceover?
Sí, Sean, Luis was asking, a lot of the participants in Santa Barbara are beginners with voiceover and script reader. So if we can have a class for beginners and script reader for a lot of the Spanish-speaking participants.
Sure. Yeah, that would be great. Yeah, VoiceOver is the screen reading technology that is built in to the Mac OS ecosystem. So on MacBooks and Mac desktops, that's kind of their screen reader. That's like their most robust tool. So that is something we could specifically cover if we have a lot of Mac users and people that are interested in that. We could definitely look, do a deep dive on VoiceOver.
Sí, dice que podemos hacer eso y podemos escoger un tiempo que funciona. There's a question from Erica or for Jake from Jacob. Is NVDA an app? Is it free or will it work with Chromebook?
NVDA is mainly for Windows. Then that's it. It's a Windows screen reader.
Yeah. So for the Chrome ecosystem, I would recommend using the Chrome Vox, which is built in directly to the Chromebook. It's within the Chrome operating system. It's very similar to VoiceOver. It's kind of Google's equivalent to VoiceOver. And it's also free. It's built in directly to the operating system. But you can only really use it on a Chromebook specifically.
Entonces, Jacob estaba preguntando a Jake si NVDA, esa herramienta es gratis y que si trabaja con Chromebook, pero no, solo trabaja con Windows. Entonces, hay diferentes sistemas que tienen diferentes herramientas. Entonces, ahorita estaba clarificando cuál funciona para cuál sistema. Si tienen Chromebook, el sistema Chromebook funciona con Chrome Fox. Entonces, Chrome Fox es para Chromebook, NVDA es para Windows, para Microsoft. Son dos diferentes sistemas.
That's good to know about the Chromebook because that's what the schools are issuing for distance learning. So it has it in there already. It's not something we have to go purchase.
Sure. Yeah, that's great. And yeah, I'm happy to cover, or we could cover Chrome specifically. Given my experience at Google on the education team, we actually used Chromebooks like at Google on the Google team, and that was the device that we were positioning to the K-12 market. And also I had experience there working with the Google accessibility team. So got a little bit of insight into kind of some of the things that they're, prioritizing and working on, as well as like all of those built-in built-in tools. So I do have quite a bit of experience myself, using a Chromebook, and would be happy to cover, all of those accessibility features within the Chromebook.
Jacob y su mamá Erica estaban diciendo que es bueno saber que Chromebook tiene la herramienta ChromeFox ya construida por dentro, porque eso es lo que las escuelas están utilizando para el aprendizaje a la distancia. Entonces, ChromeFox ya está dentro del sistema Chromebook, entonces es más fácil, no tienen que comprar o conseguir otra cosa alternativa. Y Sean estaba diciendo que podemos hacer una clase específica para aprender si tienen Chromebook o si tienen Mac. Do we have any other questions? ¿Tenemos otras preguntas para Sean?
I was going to ask one to Erica. One of the other things that kids struggle with, I know Santana and Jacob for school, is even when you're on Zoom, we haven't figured out a way to make the chat font or section bigger. So the teacher will ask them to put something in chat, and it's very difficult to do that.
Sure. Yeah. That was something, given like how widely Zoom is being utilized right now for distance learning. I definitely wanted to cover that as a topic if people are interested, to look specifically at the accessibility functionality that's built in to the Zoom platform. But that is something that they do offer within the accessibility menu. You can bump up the size of the chat. And I also have, depending on the ecosystem you're using, within Mac, there's another built-in accessibility feature, shortcut, where you can basically hover over text and use a keyboard shortcut, and you can have that text pop up in a larger window as well. So if the actual platform itself isn't allowing you to zoom in or really optimize the size, there's a couple like built-in shortcuts you can also use to enlarge the text. But Zoom does, within the accessibility menu, there is a way to actually increase the size of the chat. And you can also use a screen reader over the chat as well to have it read aloud. So I'd be happy to cover that if we do a session specifically on Zoom and the accessibility features within the platform.
That would be amazing. Thanks.
Sure.
Great, thanks, Sean. So, Erica estaba preguntando, porque muchos de los estudiantes ahora están aprendiendo con Zoom. A veces les preguntan que pongan algo en el chat, y Sean estaba explicando que sí, dentro de la plataforma de Zoom ofrecen un menú de accesibilidad para poder ajustar el tamaño del chat, y también hay diferentes shortcuts o cortos que pueden tomar para... si tienen un Mac, por ejemplo, apretar encima de una palabra que hace que el texto se haga más grande y que puede en una plataforma optimizar el tamaño que gusta ver el texto, o poder hacer cortes para accesibilidad. Y que Sean está muy interesado y que puede enseñar una clase específicamente sobre Zoom y la accesibilidad, las herramientas que tiene Zoom para accesibilidad.
Because there are so many platforms, looking at, we probably have students and people within the organization that are using, Mac and using PC and using Chromebooks. We might want to split those into separate, sessions to cover kind of each ecosystem. It might be the best way to do it. And we can understand, how many users we have on each platform and what the interest is, but it might make sense to kind of split those up. But I think Zoom, Zoom is obviously cross-platform. So I think covering Zoom in a separate session would make sense.
Great. Entonces estaba explicando que porque los sistemas operativos son diferentes, vamos a tener diferentes clases para cubrir cada sistema, pero porque Zoom es una plataforma, que eso podemos empezar. We can probably start with Zoom. Podemos empezar con Zoom. Y dependiendo del sistema operativo que use cada participante, pueden asistir a la clase que pertenece a ese sistema.
Yeah, I think looking at Zoom and other distance learning tools as well as learning management systems, I feel like that is something, we could also look at. Many schools that use Chromebooks are using Google Classroom as their learning management tool. But there are others, out there that are widely utilized. Like even for me in my master's program at Cal State Northridge, we're using Canvas, as our learning management software. But there's also Blackboard out there as well. So, some of those learning management softwares have some built-in optimizations and functionality for accessibility. So I'd be happy to look at those as well, if that would be helpful. I think it could be a good topic.
Yeah, definitely. Estaba explicando que porque hay tantas plataformas que también podemos tener una sesión sobre los LMS, los Learning Management Systems, los sistemas de manejo de aprendizaje, que también son diferentes y que muchas escuelas los usan dentro del Chromebook. Entonces hay varios diferentes temas que se pueden incluir bajo del paraguas de tecnología, entonces dependiendo de lo que quieren aprender. Creo que Luis tenía una pregunta. I think Luis was unmuted before and had a question, so I'm not sure.
¿Y me escuchan, Natalie? ¿Natalie?
Sí.
Oh. Yo, por ejemplo, en mi computadora tengo Jazz y es con lo que he estado más familiarizado, nomás no tomo las clases muy frecuentemente, pero sí lo uso. Hay una versión en Jazz que también se llama Dango. Le pregunto a...
La pregunta es si hay una versión que se llama Dango o eso es lo que usa.
¿En Jazz?
¿Puede repetir la pregunta, Luis?
Yo tengo Jazz. Yo uso Jazz en mi computadora. Es con lo que he estado más relacionado siempre. Y me ayudaron a instalar últimamente una versión, creo que es del 2020, no sé si se llama Dango.
¿Ah?
I think he means JAWS. I think he has JAWS.
And also asking about Dango. So Sean, Luis is saying that he has a computer that he has been learning with and that they put Dango on his computer. Is that of the last version for 2020?
Okay, interesting. Yeah, that's a tool that I don't have a lot of experience with, but I'd be happy to look into it if he's having an issue, with it.
I've never heard of that tool. I've never heard of that before at all. That's very interesting.
Same, yeah, likewise. But yeah, I mean, it's good to understand all the tools that are out there. So yeah, we'd be happy to look into it and help.
How do you spell it? How do you spell that? Maybe he's using a Y.
Luis dice que no han escuchado de esa herramienta, pero que están felices de ayudar y ver y revisarlo. ¿Cómo sabe cómo se escribe?
No, solamente escuché a mi maestro de aquí del Brel, que me decía Dango, me ayudó a instalarlo un día antes de que pasara lo que sucedió. Y me dijo que era la última versión de Jazz, la 2020, pero se llamaba Dango.
Yeah, Lingo, I think, yeah, I've heard of that.
Lingo? He says the latest version of JAWS.
And what is the question? He's having difficulty with it on his computer? Or?
Y la pregunta es, ¿está teniendo dificultad usándolo en su computadora o quería ver si era la...
No, solamente quería yo confirmar si era la última versión y, por ejemplo, es lo que uso en mi computadora y quisiera tener experiencia para entrar allí a Zoom. Nada más entrar a Microsoft Teams con Jazz, pero no a Zoom. Y quería tener experiencia si me podían ayudar cómo compartir el screen y esas cosas.
Yeah, so he said he would like more assistance in learning how to use his tool for Zoom and learning how to do like share screen. So I think there's a couple of learning about JAWS and the new operating system. That's the latest 2020. And then also being able to use Zoom for different assistive technology. Like I think the menu of assistive technology in Zoom would be helpful. Sí, Luis, vamos a tener diferentes clases para los que usan Mac o JAWS, una clase, y para los que quieren aprender de Zoom y la facilidad con Zoom, otra clase.
Oh, gracias.
¿Ah? That's mute.
Hi, Sean. So nice to meet you, and thank you so much for coming to talk to us.
Sure.
There is a couple of us volunteers that we do classes every Wednesday for the Latino speakers. And so one thing that most of them are completely in need to be helped with their devices, which are their cell phones. That's all they use. And so, as Luis had mentioned before, the voiceover or teaching them how to use their cell phones to be able to navigate, that's one of the things that they would be very, very interesting. Most of them have only their cell phones.
Sure. That makes sense. Yeah, I mean, there's definitely a lot of accessibility features, as you mentioned, voiceover. There's obviously, Siri and TalkBack, and there's a lot of functionality that's built into the iOS ecosystem for people who are using iPhones, as well as the Android ecosystem. So I think mobile devices is definitely something that we could cover in a specific class for those people that are only using that as their platform and need access. So we'd be happy to cover iOS as well as Android, as kind of two separate courses that we look into.
¿Quieres traducir más o quieres que yo traduzca? Sean, mi mami preguntó sobre la accesibilidad en teléfonos, porque muchas personas no tienen siempre la laptop o computadora, y Sean dijo que sí podemos hacer una clase específica sobre la tecnología asistiva en celulares, dependiendo si tienen un iPhone o si tienen un Android, dependiendo en el celular, como dijo VoiceOver, también Siri o TalkBack, que son diferentes sistemas que están ya construidos dentro de un iPhone, pero también hay otros si tienen un Android. Entonces podemos tener clase de tecnología asistiva en celular. Okay, bueno, estábamos pensando, we were thinking that this might be 45 minutes to an hour. Pensamos que esto sería de 45 minutos a una hora, pero queremos dar la oportunidad de que pregunten todas las preguntas que tienen, si las tienen. We want to make sure you have an opportunity to ask any questions you want while we have Sean here. So feel free to unmute your mic if you have any questions. Pueden unmute su preguntas.
I'd just like to clarify also, Sean, that the idea of this meeting, of this Zoom meeting, was to find out what classes would be most interesting for different students.
Sure.
Now, I know for a fact that a lot of the younger students who aren't on Zoom right now because they don't have the capability of getting on a computer, and a lot of our actually college kids, and a lot of our adults like Enrique, who's still here, and me, are interested on updating our knowledge of iPhones and Zoom, how to do Zoom better, Facebook, Instagram. I know a lot of our teenagers are very interested in that too. So, and I know that Jake has a lot of capability too, of what you're talking about as far as the different apps.
Sure.
So I think what we should probably, what will come out of this meeting is that people will send in what they actually would like to take classes with the time slots. I think that Natalie was checking that out too. And then we could set up a curriculum. That's the whole idea. But
Sure.
Abby had to leave, and this just brought up an idea. I said, what classes would you like to take? She said she'd like to take chemistry. Now, I don't know if we can do everything, but she's studying in college to be a chemist, and she probably wants to get a head start. but right away, I connected with Erica. You know, you're talking about chemistry, and Erica, I probably am wrong, but you probably do. I know you do research in very rare diseases at your company, so there might be something there that would be interested, that Abby would be interested in. So we're trying to get as many people as possible to contribute to the classes. I'm sure Sean doesn't have time to do all the classes, but like Mary said, that she does a class every Wednesday, and they do ILS classes also on Wednesday in Spanish. So there's so many classes that we could give. I guess we have to not pinpoint it to a certain curriculum, and then depending on what the majority of the people want.
Yes, and we got answers from everyone who filled in the Google form, so we do have some idea, but Erica just mentioned that Jacob asked and wants to know if we can have a class on how to create a YouTube channel, and so that's definitely one of the options we included. Annika, who wasn't able to join us, our social media intern, has offered to teach social media classes, so we can prioritize those as well. If it's a YouTube channel, social media, Instagram or Facebook, we can send out and prioritize the kinds of classes. And also he wants to know if there's a fun class like Minecraft or other video games, tips and tricks. So if people are interested in those kinds of classes, we can try to find the right partners to teach those classes. So right now, I think prioritizing with Sean here, the assistive technology and the technology apps that are available based on the platforms is one of the classes. And I think I heard starting with Zoom and the menu of accessibility for Zoom would be more of an overall general class. And then we can get more specific on depending what the platforms that people use. And then we can also schedule in some social media classes to learn how to create YouTube channels and learn how to operate social media. And then I think, Dad, for Abby's desire, I can reach out to Outlier, which is a new startup that started doing education, higher ed education online for people. And a friend of mine started that. So, you know, I think as we find out what the interest is of the participants, we can craft and tailor the classes to that. Entonces estábamos hablando sobre las diferentes clases, que habían unas preguntas de Jacob sobre hacer una clase, cómo crear tu canal de YouTube, también si habían oportunidades de clases divertidas como Minecraft o otros videojuegos, y estaba comentando que Annika, que es nuestra compañera de social media que trabaja con YouTube, está ofreciendo estas clases también, pero que vamos a hacer la prioridad con la tecnología asistiva, con Zoom, que escuché que la mayoría de las personas estaban accediendo a clases con Zoom. Entonces nuestra primera clase con Sean puede ser para aprender cómo acceder y tener acceso al menú de asistivas, tecnologías asistivas. So I think that would be our first class, Sean, with you. Sure. As other ones, if we can host something maybe next month or in the next few weeks with you, pending your schedule. Yeah. Es el próximo paso en este mes, al final de mes o en el próximo mes, tener una clase de Zoom específicamente para poder aprender toda la tecnología asistiva dentro de la plataforma de Zoom.
Also, I know that Jake offered to give a class on Google Docs. And I just don't know if, I think a lot of the kids in grammar school and high school know Google Docs. I know I don't. I use Word. Mm-hmm. But if anybody would be interested in that, and I'm sure there's other subjects on audio that Jake could probably give too, because he's an expert on computer audio. Yeah. So, you know, I think, Nat, if there's a way we can send in our suggestions on classes again after the meeting, and then we could probably put that together and categorize them into different classes. Yep. And maybe you could translate that for our folks on Latin speaking.
Yeah, and I want to know like what people actually want to learn, because I don't want to teach something that no one else will really find interesting. That kind of defeats the point. So I want to know what people are interested in before I actually like sit down and, you know, start teaching things.
Thanks, Jake. So Jake es un participante que también tiene mucha experiencia y conocimiento de tecnología, especialmente con audio, y estaba ofreciendo, si están interesados en aprender Google Docs, los documentos que usa Google, la aplicación de Google, o también quiere saber qué es lo que están interesados en aprender, qué es lo que quieren aprender que él puede compartir de lo que sabe al respecto a audio, tecnología.
Yeah, I feel like through this meeting, I think we're getting a pretty good sense of some of the kind of initial topics. I know mobile devices was brought up as well, so I think those are areas like both for iOS and for Android that we'll want to look to cover. And then, you know, if there are specific apps that come up that people are interested in, we could do a deep dive, you know, on a specific app as well. Beyond Zoom and beyond kind of the ecosystems, we could look at specific assistive technology tools, you know, on kind of an individual basis.
Great. Sean estaba diciendo que podemos hacer también la clase de celular, dependiendo si tienen iPhone o Android, y también si están interesados en una clase específica sobre los apps, las aplicaciones dentro de estos teléfonos. Sara?
Sara, we can't hear you.
Oh, no se le escucha.
I meant volume.
¿Está?
Ahí sí.
Yo tenía una pregunta.
¿Sí?
Tengo entendido que hay unas aplicaciones como para Leonardo que es completamente pues ciego. Le describe como las cosas que hay enfrente de él o como contar el dinero, pero no sé yo cuáles explicaciones son esas. Pues yo no tengo mucho conocimiento de la tecnología. El que más ayuda a Leonardo es mi hija, pero ella no se encuentra en casa ahorita. Pero pues como digo, no sé cómo se llaman esas aplicaciones.
So Sarah was asking for Leonardo, her son who's completely blind. She was asking for some of the assistive technology or apps. What are they called? She's very new in technology, so she's not, you know, she wants advice on what the names of the apps are that are best for completely blind assistive reading.
Sure. Could you ask what type of devices her son is using? Like what type of, if it's a PC or Mac or Chromebook?
Lo que usa Sara para Leonardo que pueda leer es una computadora o teléfono celular. ¿Qué tipo de tecnología usa?
Pues para la escuela usa la computadora, pero casi lo que siempre más usa es su teléfono.
¿Y es qué tipo de teléfono y qué tipo? ¿Es Mac o es Google? ¿O un Android? iPhone. Yeah, he uses an iPhone. For school, he uses a laptop, but mainly the iPhone.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, that's a class that I would want to cover specifically, but the screen reader that is built into the iPhone is called VoiceOver, which is the same as it is on the Mac ecosystem. It's just a different version of that software that does work on the iPhone, and it will read out every command and every you know, text box and item on the screen. To allow you to navigate through it. And there's a lot of ways you can customize your phone as far as how you interact with it. There's a lot of kind of shortcuts you can use to make VoiceOver easier to kind of to navigate. And so it's something I would like to cover, you know, in a class. But VoiceOver is the main, you know, screen reader tool that's directly built into iPhone.
Entonces, Sara, es ese VoiceOver, dice que es la aplicación que puede usar para iPhone. Se llama VoiceOver y es el que es más usado para leer, para que se lo lea todos los textos, pero que puede hacer una clase específica para los que usan iPhone. Entonces, sería una clase de una hora específica para el iPhone. Entonces, ahí le podemos invitar para que participe, pero si quiere empezar a buscar ahora, es VoiceOver el que más utiliza. Sé que Patricia tiene la mano levantada también, pero quería preguntar algo más, Sara.
No, eso era todo y él está usando ya esa aplicación de VoiceOver en el iPad.
Okay, super. So he's already using VoiceOver. That's what he uses currently. Okay.
Gotcha.
Súper, entonces pueden participar en la clase para aprender de otras aplicaciones que pueden utilizar o cómo mejorar el uso de esa aplicación de VoiceOver. Patricia, ¿tenía una pregunta?
Sí, yo estoy preguntando por el Chromebook. ¿Es posible que se pueda hacer que hable el screen o solamente el keyboard?
Patricia's question was about Chromebook. Is it possible that the screen can speak to you, or is it just the keyboard?
As far as the screen, so I mean, there are a couple different screen reader tools built in. There's the Chrome Vox, it's VOX. That is the Google equivalent of VoiceOver. So that's kind of the most robust screen reader. It's built directly into the Chrome operating system, and you can access it through the accessibility menu and turn it on. And that will read off every menu and every command and every text box on the screen. But if you want to use like the select to speak screen reader, which is what I use, it's more for I would say for like a low vision user, depending on your preferences. But that one you use a different shortcut on the keyboard, and you can actually like highlight a specific text box or area of the screen. But with Chrome Vox, you can set it up where you can basically use your keyboard to like toggle through the commands and the menus on the screen.
Sí, Patricia dice, Sean, que puede usar la aplicación de Chrome Fox, que ya está dentro de Chromebooks, que puede ayudar para leer de la pantalla. Si puede seleccionar y se lo lee, entonces eso puede ser una de las clases que hacemos específicos a Chrome, a Google Chrome.
And there are a couple of different shortcuts. You can use your mouse to kind of go across the screen and have Chrome Vox read aloud everything that you're kind of hovering over, or you can use a keyboard shortcut to kind of toggle through everything that's on the screen. So there's a lot of customizations depending on your preference. And we could look at those, the different ways to set it up.
Perfect. So dice también Patricia que hay diferentes, ¿cómo se dice? Shortcuts más cortos, maneras cortas de llegar que puedes poner a tu Chromebooks, como por ejemplo si pones tu mouse, el mouse encima de la palabra y puede leer cada palabra en el cual va encima. Hay diferentes maneras de hacer que sus herramientas funcionen para usted, o sea, para la manera en la cual quiere, que son diferentes aprendizajes que pueden meter a sus tecnologías asistivas también, y que eso lo puede hacer dentro de la clase.
Sí, efectivamente, porque yo no puedo ver el screen, no puedo ver las letras, entonces no puedo usar el mouse porque no veo las letras que hay en el screen.
La vio.
So Patricia says that she can't see the screen, so she can't see the mouse when she puts it over the letters in the screen. So yeah,
sure.
So, like the tools and the shortcuts.
Yeah, no, that's understandable. Yeah, I mean, there's you can customize the keyboard shortcut to be able to toggle through everything that's on the screen instead. That's probably a better setup if you can't see the mouse.
Sí, dice que hay maneras de customize, de hacerlo para, si no se puede ver la pantalla, para que se lo lea inmediatamente cuando aparece la pantalla.
Oh, dile que eso es maravilloso, que muchas gracias.
Patricia says that is marvelous, Sean, and thank you very much.
Oh, sure, you're welcome. And you can have feedback from the keyboard too. Like you can have the keyboard read aloud, the letters as you're typing, and then you can have the Chrome Vox screen reader, read back to you what you've typed. And you can also use a Braille keyboard, with the Chromebook as well if you want to use that as an additional, hardware piece. It does integrate with the ecosystem.
También dice Sean que se puede utilizar un keyboard que es en Braille, que puede integrarse con el sistema que usa para poder leer la tecla con Braille, y sino también que hay diferentes maneras de integrar para que su sistema lea las palabras automáticamente.
And that's something that I
Increíble.
don't have a lot of experience with, is with a Braille keyboard, and I don't.
Oh, parece que se congeló. It looks like it froze. Ma, dale si quieres hablar.
As well.
Yeah, Luis is an expert in Braille. Actually, he was a volunteer teaching Braille, so I'm sure that he will be able to help us out too.
Sí, podemos aprender con Luis. Okay, bueno, ya estamos a las 12. We're at 12 o'clock, so I want to respect everyone's time. And Sean, thank you so much for giving us your Saturday to share your journey and what you know. So I think for the next step, we'll put together a list of the classes and the priorities. Como próximo paso, podemos poner la lista de las clases basado en sus respuestas en el Google Form y en lo que escuchamos hoy día, empezando con Sean y con Zoom, y luego calendario, poner en el calendario clases para el celular, para iPhone, para Android y los sistemas operativos de cada uno de ellos.
Sounds like a good plan.
Okay, thank you. Dad, is there anything you want to say?
No, thanks for everybody. A lot of, like I said, a lot of people weren't able to make it, but we'll send them the video. And in the next week or so, we could set up a curriculum with time slots and then put names on the different courses. And I wanted to let the people know it's a little difficult for those that speak Spanish right now, but Sean's very open to answer questions. He's already connected with Jake pretty much, and he'll be going skiing with Jake on the 26th, and they'll have, I'm sure, be talking all this tech stuff. But if you have any questions, we could help, myself or Mary, in calling Sean and letting them know what you need, and then getting back to you, or even having you on the call and translating while we are talking. But Sean's been very good with his accessibility and being open to speak about with anybody on any topic. And then once we have the classes, then I'm sure we'll have somebody like Mary or Nat or myself translate. So
And,
thanks again, everybody. Go ahead.
Just to add to that, Dudley, we can also leverage Google Translate as well. If any questions are emailed, if they're emailed in Spanish, I can use the Google Translate to to facilitate the conversation. So we can use that as well.
That's great. Yeah, I think maybe what we should do, and I don't want to clog up your emails. I already hit you up a lot, Sean.
That's
but
okay.
Maybe the Spanish speaking kids, like even Sada, that you could send questions to in email to Sean, and so we'll provide his email to you, and then he'll get back to you in Spanish also with the translation.
Why don't you go ahead and translate that, Dad? You're on mute.
Yeah, Sara, Sean está disponible para que ustedes puedan llamar o mandar emails a su email address en español, y él va a translatar esos y va a responder a sus preguntas por email, en Spanish también, porque él tiene transladora que hace eso. Entonces, cualquier cuestión o necesidad de Leonardo se puede hablar con Sean por email y él está disponible para responder.
Google Translate is a powerful tool. It's not always 100%, but it's pretty close relatively.
Lo que ocupan, Sara, es Google Translate. Ellos, y él puede, can you send to her like in English and she could translate it into Spanish with that program?
Yeah, you can go back and forth pretty easily. So, yeah.
Y es una aplicación que se llama Google Translate. Ma?
Thank you, Sean. Also, Luis can do the same. Luis también, él está disponible para poder contestar sus preguntas. Usted nomás le manda preguntas en español y él puede responder. Entonces vamos a mandarle su email. Muchísimas gracias.
Okay. Thanks, everyone. Have a great weekend. Thank you, Sean. Welcome to Eyeshine, and we're excited to get your first class in the books. Gracias a todos por asistir y que tengan un lindo fin de semana. We're recording this. We'll put it on YouTube and we'll share it with everyone else. Estamos grabando esta clase, lo vamos a poner en YouTube y vamos a mandarlo para los que no pudieron asistir hoy día.
Thank you for setting it up. It's great to meet everyone, and I'm very excited to be working with you all and working on these courses as well.
You'll be meeting a lot of new people too on the 26th, because there's a lot of kids that are going that are interested in speaking with you then too. So
yeah, look forward to it.
Yep, and I'm mainly going for the social aspect because I think it's going to be really cool to meet with Sean and meet some of my old friends. So like that's one of the main reasons I want to go to this on the 26th.
For
that's
sure.
Great. Yeah,
Yep.
You'll be seeing Abby, Floor, Brenda, the whole gang.
Okay, thank you, everyone. If you'd like to unmute to say bye, you can. We'll be in touch and we'll see you online.
Bye.
Bye, everyone.
Bye-bye.
Have a
Thank
good
you very
weekend.
much. Thank you.
Talk to you soon.
Okay, bye-bye.
Thanks, Nat.
Thank you very much.